members, and good morning to everybody joining us in the House Chamber for the Saipan and Northern Ireland Legislative Delegation session today. Before we start, I'd like to ask if everyone can put their cell phones on silent mode. I'd like to recognize the presence of our Councilman Aquino, and all the representatives of the organizations that are here today. Okay, members ready? Okay, good morning, everybody. Today is Wednesday, June 23rd, 2021. Today is Wednesday, June 23rd, 2021 at 10:35 a.m. It is the first day, second special session, and I'd like to call this meeting to order. So now can we please stand for a moment of silent prayer? Thank you. I'd like to recognize the clerk for the roll call.
Representative Adda,
Present.
Representative Fatou,
Present.
Representative Babauta Selena,
Present.
Representative Babauta Sheila,
Present.
Representative Blanco,
Present.
Representative Kamato Joel, Representative Kamato Vicente,
Present.
Senator De Leon Guerrero,
Here.
Representative Demapan, Representative Flores,
Present.
Representative Guerrero, Representative Lizama,
Present.
Representative Props,
Present.
Senator Kirgua, Representative Sablan Christina,
Present.
Representative Sablan John Paul, Chairman Sablan Vini,
Present.
Representative Staffler,
Present.
Representative Villa Gomez,
Hello.
Representative Yang Tamay,
Not yet.
Representative Yumu,
Present.
Representative Kamato Joel,
Kaya.
Senator Kirgua. Mr. Chairman, there are 20 members present, 1 member absent.
Thank you, clerk. And just for the record, Senator Kiruga has reached out and is at an appointment right now, but should be joining us shortly. So is hereby excused until his return. Thank you. And with a quorum, let us proceed. And under item letter B of the agenda, reading and approval of the journals, I recognize the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At this time, I'd like to offer a motion to adopt SNILE Journal 22-3, first day, first special session on April 20, 2021. So move.
Okay, there's been a motion to adopt SNILE Journal 22-3 and has been seconded. Discussion? All in favor to adopt SNILE Journal number 22-3, say aye.
Aye.
All who oppose, say nay. Motion carries. This time, I'd like to recognize the floor leader for some additional motions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At this time, I'd like to offer a motion to suspend Rule 3, Section 1C, notice of meetings, because members, we did receive some communications after the agenda was prepared and the public notice was issued. So I'd like to offer that motion to suspend Rule 3, Section 1C. So move.
Okay, there's been a motion to suspend pertinent rules and that's been seconded. Discussion on that motion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Representative Adda,
Yes.
Representative Fatou,
Yes.
Representative Babauta Selena,
I'm done.
Representative Babauta Sheila,
Yes.
Representative Blanco,
Yes.
Representative Kamato Joel,
I'm done.
Representative Kamato Vicente,
Yes.
Senator De Leon Guerrero,
Yes.
Representative Demapan,
Hunga.
Representative Flores,
Yes.
Representative Guerrero, Representative Lizama,
Yes.
Representative Probst, Representative Sablan Christina,
Yes.
Representative Sablan John Paul,
Again.
Representative Staffler,
Yes.
Representative Villa Gomez,
Yes.
Representative Yanktamai,
Yes.
Representative Yumu. Mr. Chairman,
Hungan.
Mr. Chairman, all 20 members voted yes.
Thank you, Clerk. And with all 20 members voting yes, the motion is hereby carried. We are now at the portion of our agenda where the publics can provide comments in reference to the topics that are stated on today's agenda. And before I open the podium, I'd like to ask that whoever is going to comment, please state your name for the record. And please, we'll give 5 minutes to every person that will come up and provide comments in reference to those items that are placed on today's agenda. Thank you. The podium is now open.
I'm Lucy Sablon. I don't have a copy of the agenda.
You can approach the podium, Mrs. Sablan, and just state your name and the organization you're representing.
I'm Lucy Sablon. I'm with Saipan Cares for Animals, CNMI. I'm here today to thank you for having us, and I'm here today to ask for your support and thank you for your support for our mission, our animal welfare services that we provide to Saipan Rota and Tinian. We are currently in a emergency mode because we're moving, and we are asking for a SNILD assistance award to help pay for some of these moving costs. We are supposed to move by August, and we are waiting for approval to for a 6-month extension so that we can develop this property that we're moving to. And we are very concerned about the timing of everything that's going on right now. We don't want to shut down the services. We may have to for a short period, but we don't want to do that. We want to make sure that we continue to provide the community the services that they need for their pets on island. And so we ask for your approval to expedite the funding that we're asking for to assist us to make this a reality. There's a lot of work in terms of having to go through certain permitting processes. It's a real challenge to do that. When you're dealing with permitting, it's not an easy process. It's not business friendly. Let me put it that way. It's a very difficult, long, expensive road to getting permits for land development here. And for a nonprofit, that is a very big concern. So we're hoping that you continue to support us in the future on the next funding cycles, which we plan to ask for, since the one that we're trying to get now has been cut short because of the availability of funds. And of course, we understand everybody needs to share, and but we appreciate what we get. And I hope that becomes available real soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mrs. Sablan. Podium still open for public comments.
Good morning. Good morning, Chair and members. My name is Charles Cepeda. I'm with the Marianas Racing Association. We have here our board members, Mr. Rayumo and Mr. Henry Camacho as well. I'm here in support of the HLB 22-12, the appropriation that's being worked on today. I just want to share that Marianas Racing Association has members that are up to 100 and close to 150 members. And I've always said the majority of them are young kids. And when I say young, you know, they're younger than me. So they're young, but they're below 18. And I don't have the stats in front of me, but there's 75% of them are below 18 members that come out and use the track at Cowtown. In October 2020, the public lands transferred the Cowtown to DCCA, which DCCA has an arrangement agreement with MRA to use the facility for motocross purposes. Since then, we've cleared the track with the help of government agencies and our great assistance from our board member, Mr. Henry Camacho, who spends almost every day there to get the track going for the members that are just beginning to ride motocross. And those of you who know motocross, it seems dangerous, but once we put in all the safety measures in place, keeping all the track safe and smooth, and where it's good enough for all members to ride the track, we have not experienced any injuries since we opened the track in December 2020. But in order to do that, we've had a lot of requests and assistance from 8 different agencies just to smoothen the track almost every month. I mean, basically every month. We're there, we shut down the track for 3 days just to keep it safe for all the members. These members are from, we have a 3-year-old who's riding out there, and there's a couple 4-year-olds, and then 5 to 16-year-olds that are out there, and it just makes you feel good when they're out there doing things that they enjoy and doing things in a safe manner and following rules that the MRA board has put together. With that, we acknowledge that there's a need for MRA to have some funds just to keep the track going and not rely on different government agencies for support. One of the things that we need is to smoothen out the track, but also to reduce the dust just for the fans to enjoy, so they're not eating the dust like we are as riders out there on the track. It's much more enjoyable when the track is watered down for the riders, but also for the fans where they can see it. Of course, it's not a good day today to ask for water support when it's raining and the track is flooded. We actually had to close it down for safety reasons today. But on behalf of Marianas Racing Association and its members, we ask for your continued support on the funds that you can provide for these members that are all from here, Saipan, Rhoda, Tinian members, that we have a rider from Rhoda also that comes out. So we are asking for your support, continued support for financial assistance to Marianas Racing Association. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cepeda. And the podium is still open for public comments.
My name is Danny Aquino. I'm the executive director of the NMI Museum. Good morning, Chairman Vinny, and members of the Saipan Northern Island Delegation. I'm here today with Mr. Archie Ahoste, and we're here to submit our support and our thanks for the $15,000 that we're asking you to please give us. And I want to say that the museum is in a unique situation. We can probably say it's problematic at best. Public Law 10-5 provided for the establishment of the NMI Museum in the Old Japanese Hospital, which will be 95 years old on November of this year. The museum was also designated as the official repository, the state repository, but it receives no money to house or to even provide a facility for these artifacts. So much of what we've been doing is storing the artifacts in our offices. So basically, we don't really have any office because those are what's housing the artifacts. Some say, why not shift efforts to write grants? We've tried writing grants, but we were not successful. We've attended grant writing workshops. We're pretty much basically spread thin. As you know, the museum only has 3 other staff, plus myself, which would be 4. One individual is disabled, developmentally disabled, and then the other one is focused on supervising the facilities and grounds. We recently hosted 2 events. Last Friday, that was the MENA and the Pride. We had over 500 guests in the museum. And, from that, we're trying to make the museum like an inclusive place, and we want to be able to charge at a future date. But we can't do that unless we receive the support, the adequate support that the museum really needs to get. These funding that we get is just basically from the SNOW delegation. As you know, this appropriations, we got basically 1,058 or 1,085, and that basically just went to the public auditors funds. We don't have anything for anything else other than what was given to us by the ARPA. So the museum is made up of 7,500 square feet. 2 additional buildings would make that 1,000, a total of 8,500 square feet. And the museum was never supposed to be a permanent facility. The old Japanese hospital, that was supposed to be a temporary facility until a state-of-the-art facility could be built in the museum grounds, which is approximately 2 acres of land. The industry standards recommends that the museum gets at least $92 per square feet. So, if you look at that 92, that's upward over $500,000. So that's pretty much where the museum needs to be in order to operate efficiently and effectively. I'm just pleading, and I'm also thankful for everyone, the members in the past, the members now, for all the support. I've seen like many members here, such as Congresswoman Sheila, the chairman, Ivan Blanco, Tina Sablan, Leila Staffler, Ed Probst, Denita, Congressman, who have visited the museum. And I encourage everyone to come to the museum to actually see what's there, because outside we see a nice museum, nice grounds that's basically managed every day. But what you don't see is the inside, the south wing of the museum, which is our offices that still have yet to be repaired. We've got the gift shop that most of you have seen that still needs to be repaired. So without these fundings that we get from you, then our hands are basically tied, and the museum can also revert back to what it was when I first walked in that door, which was a haunted house. And once again, I really like to thank you guys, and I really like to ask for everyone's support for the museum, because without this funding, I'm telling you, the museum might collapse. And while I'm there, I'm just asking you guys to give me the tools that is necessary for me to do these repairs and these upgrades that are very challenging without any kind of funding assistance. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Aquino. And the podium is still open for public comments.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Dolores Fitio. I am the acting program administrator at the CNMI Women's Association. dear Chairman Sablan and members, the CNMI Women's Association is writing to respectfully seek your assistance in providing at least 15,000 to fund the operations of the organizations through September 30, 2021. If approved, the funding will allow the association to continue its mission of empowering our women to succeed in their respective roles as leaders in our communities throughout the Commonwealth. CWA is a federal 501c3 and the CNMI a tax-exempt nonprofit organization. Since it was incorporated in April 13, 2011, the association has partnered with other public and private organizations to deliver vital and social services to our communities throughout the CNMI. The services provided to our women and their families include education and training opportunities, mentorship, advocacy, and information and referral. Since it opened its doors in 2011, the association has accomplished the following: has been sponsoring annual women's summits, which bring together members of our communities to discuss issues and find solutions to the problems affecting our women and their families, in collaboration with its partners in the public and private sectors, has assisted our women who did not complete their high school education, has sponsored job readiness training, which includes work ethic, customer service, and coping skills in the workplace. Thanks to the CNMI legislature, the Women's Center on Capitol Hill was finally completed in March of 2019, also allowing PSS, Systems of Care, SOC, and other nonprofits conduct their training programs. In partnership with the Small Business Development Center, SBDC, CWA has sponsored training programs for our women entrepreneurs, which consist of the following components: how to start a business, how to write a business plan, how to prepare a financial plan, and how to prepare a marketing plan. The association is now finalizing plans on the upcoming gender equality workshop, which is tentatively scheduled to be held in early part of July 2021. Lastly, CWA has been collaborating with the United Carolians Association, UCA, with the Lift Bank project to empower our participating entrepreneurs and their families to become economically self-sufficient. Mr. Chairman and members, for CWA to continue its mission of helping our women succeed in the leadership roles they play in our homes and the communities they are a part of, we respectfully ask that you allocate at least 15,000 to fund our operations through the remaining months of fiscal year 2021. We thank you for your continued support and we look forward to your favorable action on our request. Si Zeus Mosi me hiliso.
Thank you, Ms. Fitil. The podium is still open for public comments.
Hi, good morning, members of the SNILD body committee. My name is Marissa Flores. I'm here on behalf of Micronesian Legal Services Corporation. And after reading today's agenda, I'm very thankful to this body for appropriating $35,000 to the indigent people of the CNMI. I know we all have an individual responsibility in ensuring that our community is sustainable and is afforded the means to success, maintaining their household, and being participating and equitable members of our community. Today was quite a stressful day. This morning, actually, in the last 2 hours, I've been here, but I'd like to thank Congressman BJ Attal for seeing me for like 2 minutes and to hear me out in regard to this appropriation. I'd also like to thank Senator Sablan, Congressman Staffler, Congresswoman Staffler, Congresswoman Roberto, but the entire body, and Congresswoman Sablan and I exchanged some dialogue here this morning, and I thought that was important, that we meet each other in the middle, discussing what we feel as individuals is important for all community members, not just for some, not just for the rich, but for everybody. That includes the children that are behind us and the adults that are raising them to be contributing members of this society. So again, thank you to the SNOUD committee, and I hope to work with you on future appropriations. As we know, 35,000 is helpful, but it is not enough. And just like every tree that is planted, because one was removed,
Short recess, replacement battery. Sorry, Ms. Flores, the batteries probably went out. Please hold your train of thought, and we'll have those batteries replaced. We're good? The mic's on? Okay. We're back in session, and Ms. Flores, we apologize for that inconvenience. You may proceed. Back in session.
I hope I have my train of thought all together, because man, I was really working towards that, and it was actually sounding really good. So like every tree that's being removed or damaged or uprooted, it needs to be replaced so that future generations and whatever purpose it serves in our environment is preserved and protected. And that's why I come here and I advocate on behalf of the organization that I represent. So as we all have an individual responsibility to maintain a happy, wholesome, fruitful, sustainable community, we all sit here advocating for what is important to each of us as individuals. But I think as a body today, you demonstrated the importance of appropriating these funds to us. 35,000, like I said, I'm appreciative. However, there's still and will be more funds, I hope, in the future that can be appropriated to our organization. We save lives, we save homes, just like every police officer or fire department, first responder, doctor. That's what we do. We do that. And some people don't know it because maybe some people don't need an attorney. And I've said this time and time again, and I'm going to keep reiterating my sentiment because there is a value in the money that you give us. And I'd love to bring our clients here to share, but many of them are not ashamed to share their success stories of what we've done. But the stories are not pretty. They're not pretty stories, which is why they don't want to share their stories. Because there's a difference between sympathizing and empathizing. And what we need from you is to empathize, not sympathize with our organization. because each and every person in the village is a constituent of each and every one of you. So thank you again for the appropriation, and I'm just going to step back for 30 seconds because then I need to thank somebody, speak on behalf of another organization.
Thank you, Ms. Flores. You can continue.
Good morning. Again, my name is Marissa Flores, and I stand here before you to thank you on behalf of the Northern Marianas Protection and Advocacy Systems Incorporated. I am the president of their board, and we advocate for individuals with disabilities throughout Micronesia. I mean, throughout the CNMI. That's my next goal, to go to Micronesia, but we're still here in CNMI. We'd like to thank you for the appropriation of $25,000. This organization has been within the community for over 30 years, providing protections to individuals with disabilities and their civil rights in our community. My daughter, who is was diagnosed with autism, in addition to many of her peers. I think the count last PSS calendar was about 800 individuals with disabilities, about 856, I think, to be exact, give or take. You times that by the number of people in their household. That's the number that you help. So 856 students from K3 to 12th grade. Those are the people that we help. Back in I want to say 2002, maybe. Some of you guys weren't here, some of you guys were here. But the Autism Commission was established at that time. And I sat as a vice president of that commission, a vice chair. And that was a very, very hard process because nobody really knew or really cared about individuals with disabilities, mainly autistic kids that were diagnosed. We had a system that didn't know how to teach them. We had businesses that didn't know how to accommodate them. And as crazy as this sounds, fast forward 15 some years plus, not much has changed. We still have members in the community that really don't know how to address. And when I mean address is communicate, empathize, not sympathize, empathize with these contributing members of our community. And it may seem insignificant, but it really isn't. When you get older, you're not going to be up to par as you are today. You might have a disability, be it mental health, be it cancer, be it some kind of disability. Well, that's where you're going to fall. And our organization, Northern Marianas Protection and Advocacy Systems, ensures the protections of any discrimination that may happen upon any disability that you may have, from 0 to 99. But that's the purpose of our existence. And without that, you would have a lot of civil rights that may be abused, elderly that may be abused with their Social Security. We've had some cases where this past typhoon, we had members, children, adults of mothers taking their Social Security for their benefit. Imagine that, their own kids. And we have elderly women and men coming in because they cannot tell their son or their daughter to return the money. But they used our office as a mechanism and as a catalyst to educate the child that there are ways to communicate with your mother or your father who are awarded these benefits. So it's not all the time that we're going to fight about what is right, but the dialogue is what's important. The components of what we're saying to our community is what's important. So on behalf of both organizations that I represent here today, Undankulu na Jesus Maasi, and I hope to continue my work with you guys as far as advocating for additional funds, because both organizations are crucial to the sustainability, the health and welfare of the community at large. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Flores. And the podium is still open.
Uh, Good morning, Mr. Chairman, SNI Delegation. My name is RJ Hoste. I'm the administrative assistant and certified docent for the NMI Museum. Anyway, I'm here just to share my experience with you guys. That the museum on Google reviews before I came in, or when Director Aquino came in, was 1.2 stars, and now it became 4.2 stars, because we all work with each other and help each other, because as Director Kino said, we have adequate staffing. As a certified tour guide, my experience with guests coming in and I'm giving them a tour, it's actually easy to tour like high school students to ages like us, but it's problematic giving tours to like daycare centers where they need to have digital things like LED panels there. We're trying to put a 40 feet by 6 feet panels so that this is not for us. It's especially for the kids. They really want it. They give good comments. They said the museum is nice. It's clean. But then we're missing something that every museum has around the world, which is digital stuff where the children or the guests can interact and learn something. I've been researching, coordinating with archaeologists, researchers on, about what I can say about the tour and give information about the tour. But if I say those things to those information to young kids, they can't even take it in. So we need something digital. And I'm hoping that we have the continued support and appropriation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Jose. Our podium is still open.
Hi, I'm Beth Plisco, Director for Saipan Cares for Animals. I'd just like to say that we've been helping animals at Saipan Cares for 5 years now, and we've never asked for any help. The community, individuals, and businesses have supported us completely through donations and using our clinic. We're a nonprofit in both the CNMI and federally, and this is the first time we've asked for help. And it's because of our move that we must make. We don't want to shut down. For me, it's just not an option at all to shut down. So we're asking for help with that move that we must make in the next 6 months. I think that's about all I have to say. Thank you very much. I really would appreciate the help. Thank you.
Thank you, Beth. The podium is still open for public comments. And with no further comments, we move down to item D on our agenda, introduction of local bills. And at this time, I'd like to recognize Representative Ato.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Formally introducing to the delegation House Local Bill number 22-7 to appropriate $1,446,000 from revenues collected pursuant to Saipan local law 11-2 as amended and for other purpose, introduced by myself and several others. And with no objection from the members, I would respectfully ask the floor leader to place on calendar for action today. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Representative Fattah. And with no objection, I recognize the floor leader for the proper motions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At this time, I offer a motion to suspend Rule 7, Section 8, Committee Reports, so that we may proceed with placing bills on today's calendar, bypassing the special committee reports. So move.
Okay, there's been a motion to suspend pertinent rules and that has been seconded. Clerk, please call the roll.
Representative Fattah,
Yes.
Representative Fattah,
Yes.
Representative Babalta Selena,
Hungen.
Representative Babalta Sheila,
Yes.
Representative Blanco,
Yes.
Representative Camacho Joel,
Ungan.
Representative Camacho Vicente,
Yes.
Senator Delian Guerrero, Representative Demapan,
Ungan.
Representative Flores,
Yes.
Representative Guerrero, Representative Lizama,
Yes.
Representative Probst, Representative Sablan Christina,
Yes.
Representative Sablan Jampo,
Ungan.
Representative Staffler,
Yes.
Representative Villa Gomez,
Yes.
Representative Yangtamay,
Aware.
Representative Yumu.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman,
Hungan.
Mr. Chairman, all members voted yes.
Thank you, Clerk. And with all members voting yes, the motion for suspension of rules hereby carries. Recognize the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And with the suspension of Rule 7, Section 8, I now would like to motion to place House Local Bill 22-7 to appropriate $1,446,000 from revenues collected pursuant to Saipan Local Law 11-2 as amended and for other purposes. So move.
There's been a motion for placement of House Local Bill number 22-7. All in favor of that motion, please say aye. All who oppose, say nay. Motion carries. House Local Bill number 22-7 is hereby placed on today's bill calendar. And now I'd like to recognize Representative Yumo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Now introducing House Local Bill 22-8 to impose a local license fee on all non-poker electronic gaming devices within the 3rd Senatorial District and for other purposes. Introduced by myself and several others, I welcome everyone to please join me in this endeavor. Also, just for clarification, I also like, maybe not clarification, Chairman, just to request the floor leader also to place House Local Bill 22-8 on calendar today so we can move on. Thank you.
Any objections to the request? No objections. I now recognize the floor leader for the proper motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At this time, I'd like to offer a motion to place House Local Bill 22-8 to impose a local license fee on all non-poker electronic gaming devices within the 3rd Senatorial District and for other purposes on today's calendar. So move.
So there's been a motion to place House Local Bill number 22-8 and has been seconded. Discussion? Ready? All in favor to place House Local Bill number 22-8 on today's bill calendar, please say aye. All who oppose, say nay. House Local Bill number 22-8 is hereby placed on today's bill calendar. Next, I'd like to recognize Representative Royada.
Thank you, Chairman. I'd like to formally introduce House Local Bill number 22-9 to reappropriate $2,145.73 allotted under Saipan Local Law 17-18, specifically under Business Unit 3398P and $3,387 allotted under Saipan Local Law 19-05, specifically under Business Unit 3752U and for other purposes. Introduced by myself, and I welcome other members to co-sponsor. With no objection, I would like to request the floor leader to place House Local Bill number 22-9 on calendar for action today. Thank you.
With no objection, I now recognize our floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At this time, I'd like to offer a motion to place House Local Bill 22-9 on today's calendar. So moved.
There's been a motion and it has been seconded. Discussion on that motion? All in favor to place House Local Bill 22-09 on today's bill calendar, please say aye. All who oppose, say nay. The motion carries. House Local Bill 22-09 is hereby placed on today's bill calendar. And at this time, I'd like to recognize Representative Ato.
Thank you again, Mr. Chairman. Formally introducing House Local Bill to the Delegation number 22-10 to reappropriate lapsed funds under Section 2B5 of Saipan Local Law 21-5 and for other purposes, introduced by myself and several others, and I welcome all the members of the delegation to be a co-sponsor. And in the same tone, respectfully asking our floor leader to please place the Local Bill 22-10 on today's calendar for action.
There's been a request by our Vice Speaker, and with no objection, I'd like to recognize the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to offer a motion to place House Local Bill 22-10 on today's calendar. So moved.
Okay, there's been a motion and has been seconded. Discussion on that motion? All in favor to place House Local Bill number 22-10 on today's bill calendar, please say aye. All who oppose, say nay. Motion carries. House Local Bill 22-10 is hereby placed on today's bill calendar. And again, recognize Representative Ato.
Thank you. Thank you again, Mr. Chairman. Formally introducing to delegation House Local Bill number 22-12 to appropriate $560,000 from revenues collected for the 3rd Senatorial District pursuant to Public Law 20-59 and for other purposes, introduced by myself and several others, and I welcome all the members from the delegation to join in this legislation. At the same token, again, respectfully requesting the floor leader to make the to place House Local Bill 22-12 on today's calendar for action.
With the request and no objection, I recognize our floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to offer a motion to place House Local Bill 22-12 on today's bill calendar for action. So move.
There's been a motion and has been seconded. Discussion on that motion. Okay, all in favor to place House Local Bill number 22-12 on today's bill calendar, please say aye. All who oppose, say nay. Motion carries. House Local Bill 22-12 is hereby placed on today's bill calendar. At this time, I'd like to represent Senator De Leon Guerrero, or recognize.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm introducing Saipan Local Bill number 22-03, a local bill for an act to provide an alternative to parceling of undivided property in order to satisfy Article 2, Section 1103 of the Saipan zoning law. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator De Leon Guerrero, and Saipan Local Bill number 22-3 will be referred by the floor leader. At this moment now, the chair would like to introduce Saipan Local Bill number 22-5 to amend 10 CMC subsection 3922 to extend the term of a chef or board member, to allow additional terms, to reinstate the holdover period, and for other purposes, introduced by myself. Thank you.
Point of clarification, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
Just so that the record on our journal reflects that it's not a Saipan Local Bill, Senate Local Bill.
Senate Local Bill. So clarified. My apologies. Okay, so we move down to item E, introduction of local resolutions, and I now recognize Senator De Leon Guerrero.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I am introducing scenario resolution number 22-3 to amend Rule 12 of the Saipan and Northern Islands Legislative Delegation Official Rules of Procedure to establish the procedure for administrating oaths. Additionally, I am requesting kindly for the floor leader to place it on today's calendar for action, if there's no objection from any of the members. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, there's been a request by our Senator De Leon Guerrero with no objection, and at this time, I recognize the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At this time, I'd like to offer a motion to place SNILD Resolution 22-3 on today's resolution calendar for action. So move.
There's been a motion offered. This has been seconded. Discussion on that motion. All in favor to place now resolution number 22-3 on today's resolution calendar, please say aye. All who oppose, say nay. Motion carries. We move down to item F. Messages from the governor. Clerk?
Mr. Chairman, we have three on the calendar. Governor's Communication number 22-4 through 22-6.
Thank you, Clerk. Any comments? Okay, we move on to item G. Messages from the mayors of Saipan and the Northern Islands. Clerk?
Mr. Chairman, we have 12. Mayor's Communication 22-7 through 22-18.
With no comments, we move down to letter H, reports and communications from the heads of departments and agencies. Clerk?
We have one, Mr. Chairman, Department Agency Communication number 22-2.
Thank you. We move along to item I, House Communications. Recognize the clerk.
Mr. Chairman, we have 6, House Communication number 22-2 through 22-7.
Thank you, clerk. Moving along to item J, Senate Communications. Clerk?
We have 2, Mr. Chairman, Senate Communication number 22-1 and 22-2.
Thank you. And item K, Delegation Matters. Clerk?
Delegation Matters, Mr. Chairman, we have 21. Delegation Matters 22-28 through 22-48.
Thank you, clerk. And under item L, Miscellaneous Communications. Clerk?
Mr. Chairman, there are 9. Miscellaneous Communication number 22-9 through 22-17.
Thank you, clerk. We move on to item M, Reports of Standing Committees. And at this time, I recognize the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At this time, I'd like to offer a motion to adopt Standing Committee Report number 22-4, the SNILD Standing Committee on Ways and Means reporting on House Local Bill 22-3 entitled to appropriate up to $618,138 of the earned bond interest income collected for the 3rd Senatorial District that has been identified by the Commonwealth Development Authority as available for appropriations and for other purposes. So move.
There's been a motion to adopt Standing Committee Report number 22-4, and it has been seconded. Discussion on that motion. All in favor to adopt Standing Committee Report number 22-4, say aye. All who oppose, say nay. Motion carries. Standing Committee Report number 22-4, referencing House Local Bill number 22-3, is hereby placed on today's bill calendar. Moving on to N, there's none under reports of special and conference committees. O, none under unfinished business. And moving right along, letter P, resolution calendar. I'd like to recognize the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At this time, I'd like to offer a motion to pass now Resolution 22-3 to amend.
Short recess, Mr.
Stand by.
Chairman.
Okay,
Sure.
short recess.
And because this resolution does seek to amend our SNILD rules, this suspension that is now being offered requires that a resolution stay on calendar for at least one session day. So we will go ahead and I'm offering a motion to suspend this rule so that we may act on this resolution today. So again, I'd like to offer a motion to suspend Rule 16, Section 1. So move.
There's been a motion to suspension of rules and has been seconded. Discussion on that motion? Okay. Clerk, please call the roll.
Representative Fata,
Yes.
Representative Fatau,
Yes.
Representative Babalta Selena,
Nga.
Representative Babalta Sheila,
Yes.
Representative Blanco,
Yes.
Representative Camacho Joel,
Good.
Representative Camacho Vicente,
Yes.
Representative De Leon Guerrero. Yes. Representative Demapan,
Good.
Representative Flores,
Yes.
Representative Guerrero, Representative Lizama,
Yes.
Representative Probst, Representative Sablan Christina,
Yes.
Representative Sablan John Paul,
Hungan.
Representative Staffler,
Yes.
Representative Villa Gomez,
Yes.
Representative Yankamai,
Aware.
Representative Yumu. Mr. Chairman,
Hungan.
Mr. Chairman, no members voted yes.
With all members voting yes to suspend Rule 16, Section 1, that motion hereby carries. Recognize floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, members. At this time, I'd like to offer a motion that we pass NILD Resolution 22-3 to amend Rule 12 of the Saipan and Northern Islands Legislative Delegation Official Rules of Procedure to establish the procedure for administering oaths. So move.
There's been a motion to pass the segment or local resolution 22-3 and has been seconded. Discussion. Clerk, please call the roll.
Representative Fata,
Yes.
Representative Fatau,
Yes.
Representative Babalta Selena,
Hungan.
Representative Babalta Sheila,
Yes.
Representative Blanco,
Yes.
Representative Camacho Joel,
Good.
Representative Camacho Vicente,
Yes.
Senator De Leon Guerrero, Representative Demapan,
Good.
Representative Flores,
Yes.
Representative Guerrero, Representative Lizama,
Yes.
Representative Probst, Representative Sablan Christina,
Yes.
Representative Sablan John Paul,
Hungan.
Representative Staffler,
Yes.
Representative Villa Gomez,
Yes.
Representative Yankamai,
Aware.
Representative Yumu. Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, no members voted yes.
With all 20 members voting yes, that's now resolution 22-3 hereby passes the delegation. Next, we move on to letter Q of the agenda, bill calendar. And at this time, I recognize the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At this time, I'd like to offer a motion that we pass House Local Bill 22-7 to appropriate $1,446,000 from revenues collected pursuant to Saipan Local Law 11-2 as amended and for other purposes. So move.
There's been a motion to pass House Local Bill 22-7 and has been seconded. Discussion on that motion. Recognize Representative Christina Sablan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Could I just get some clarification, perhaps from the author or any member of the Ways and Means Committee, if we have certifications of funds available from the Secretary for all of the local appropriations that are on our calendar now?
Yes, we do. I apologize. I don't have those documents with me. I worked with Dave Demapan on it. We got all certification of all the funds that are being appropriated today, including the one that came with the committee report 22-4, which is the bond interest money. That bond interest money actually increased by $70,000. The other certifications of funds that I received are the exact appropriation, but they're collecting they're still collecting. So Dave is getting the updated numbers on those. So with that, there's going to be further appropriations for the continued collections.
Okay.
Hopefully within the next 2 to 3 months.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Still under discussion? Are you ready? Okay. Clerk, please call the roll.
Representative Fadda,
Yes.
Representative Fatal,
Yes.
Representative Babata Selena,
Good.
Representative Babata Sheila,
Yes.
Representative Blanco,
Yes.
Representative Camacho Joel,
Good.
Representative Camacho Vicente,
Yes.
Senator De Leon Guerrero,
Yes.
Representative Demapuan,
Good.
Representative Flores,
Yes.
Representative Guerrero, Representative Lizama,
Yes.
Representative Probst, Representative Sablan Christina,
Yes.
Representative Sablan John Paul,
Good.
Representative Stafford,
Yes.
Representative Villa Gomez,
Good.
Representative Yanktamai,
Aware.
Representative Yumu. Mr. Chairman,
Hungad.
Mr. Chairman, all 20 members voted yes.
Thank you, Clerk. With all 20 members voting yes, House Local Bill 22-7 hereby passes the delegation. Floor Leader.
Can we call for a quick recess, Chairman?
Short recess. calendar. And in addition to the initial suspension, I now recognize the floor leader for additional suspension of pertinent rules.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, members. At this time, I'd like to offer a motion to suspend pertinent rules so that we may act on all bills on today's calendar on first and final reading. So move.
There's been a motion to suspend pertinent rules, has been seconded. Discussion? Okay. Clerk, please call the roll.
Representative Adda,
Yes.
Representative Fattah,
Yes.
Representative Babalta Selena,
I'm good.
Representative Babalta Sheila,
Yes.
Representative Blanco,
Yes.
Representative Kamatu Joel,
Good.
Representative Kamatu Vicente,
Yes.
Senator De Leon Guerrero,
Yes.
Representative Demapuan,
Good.
Representative Flores,
Yes.
Representative Guerrero, Representative Lizama,
Yes.
Representative Probst, Representative Sablan Christina,
Yes.
Representative Sablan Jampo,
Again.
Representative Staffler,
Yes.
Representative Villa Gomez, Representative Yanktabay,
Aware.
Representative Yumu. Mr. Chairman,
I'm good.
Mr. Chairman, all 20 members voted yes.
With all 20 members voting yes, the motion carries for the suspension of pertinent rules. Recognize the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To ensure that the suspension does cover all bills on today's calendar, I'd like to offer a motion for passage on House Local Bill 22-7 to appropriate $1,446,000 from revenues collected pursuant to Saipan Local Law 11-2 as amended and for other purposes. So move.
There's been a motion to pass House Local Bill number 22-7 has been seconded. Discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Representative Adda,
Yes.
Representative Babalta,
Yes.
Representative Babalta Selena,
I'm good.
Representative Babalta Sheila,
Yes.
Representative Blanco,
Yes.
Representative Kamatu Joel,
Good.
Representative Kamatu Vicente,
Yes.
Senator De Leon Guerrero,
Yes.
Representative Demapan, Representative Flores,
Yes.
Representative Guerrero, Representative Lizama,
Yes.
Representative Probst, Representative Sablan Christina,
Yes.
Representative Sablan Jampo,
Good.
Representative Staffler,
Yes.
Representative Villa Gomez,
Yes.
Representative Yanktamay,
Aware.
Representative Yumu. Mr. Chairman,
Hungan.
Mr. Chairman, all 20 members voted yes.
Thank you, Clerk. With all 20 members voting yes, House Local Bill 22-7 hereby passes the delegation. Floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members, we will come back to House Local Bill 22-8. And at this time, I'd like to offer a motion for passage on House Local Bill 22-9 to reappropriate $2,145.73 allotted under Saipan Local Law 17-18, specifically under Business Unit 3398P and $3,387 allotted under Saipan Local Law 19-05, specifically under Business Unit 3752U and for other purposes. So move.
There's been a motion and has been seconded. Discussion on that motion. Okay, Clerk, please call the roll.
Representative Adda,
Yes.
Representative Fattah,
Yes.
Representative Babalta Selena,
I'm good.
Representative Babalta Sheila,
Yes.
Representative Blanco,
Yes.
Representative Kamatu Joel,
Good.
Representative Kamatu Vicente,
Yes.
Senator De Leon Guerrero,
Yes.
Representative Demapan, Representative Flores,
Yes.
Representative Guerrero, Representative Lizama,
Yes.
Representative Probst, Representative Sablan Christina,
Yes.
Representative Sablan John Paul,
Good.
Representative Staffler,
Yes.
Representative Villa Gomez,
Yes.
Representative Yanktamay,
Aware.
Representative Yumu, Representative Adda,
Yes.
Mr. Chairman,
Hungan.
Mr. Chairman, all 20 members voted yes.
Thank you, Clerk. With all 20 members voting yes, House Local Bill 22-9 hereby passes the delegation. Recognize the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At this time, I'd like to offer a motion to pass House Local Bill 22-10 to reappropriate lapsed funds under Section 2B5 of Saipan Local Law 21-5 and for other purposes. So move.
There's been a motion and has been seconded. Discussion on that motion? Ready? No, Rep. Tina, recognize.
Thank you. I wanted to just clarify from the author how these are lapsed funds. And also just note that Section 2 provides for the chairperson of the council to be the expenditure authority. But then Section 3, and there's only one appropriation that's being provided for here for one agency. And then Section 3, I don't know if this was a typo, but we could remove Section 3 since the bill already provides for the chair.
Sure. The only reason why Section 3 is always there is just unless it's not specified that the Secretary of Finance shall be the expenditure authority.
Right.
But Section 2 does specify the expenditure authority. And the reason why it's the municipal council, these are funds that were appropriate to the municipal council. I think it was $30-some thousand that was supposed to help them purchase a vehicle. And they were able to purchase a cheaper vehicle, and they weren't able to use the funds for any other purposes. So we're giving them the remainder of those funds for their operations.
Okay, so the funds haven't lapsed so much as they're left over from the vehicle.
Well, they're technically lapsed, right? Because of the fiscal year limitation. So this is without fiscal year limitation to assist them in their operational costs. So this is their money, and we're just giving it back to them for other purposes rather than the vehicle, because they've already gotten the vehicle and they were able to save some money.
Okay.
No, with that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you. I'm ready.
Thank you, Rep. Sablan and Rep. Atal. So at this time, Clerk, please call the roll.
Representative Fadda,
Yes.
Representative Atal,
Yes.
Representative Babalta Selena,
Hungan.
Representative Babalta Sheila,
Yes.
Representative Blanco,
Yes.
Representative Camacho Joel,
Hungan.
Representative Camacho Vicente,
Yes.
Senator De Leon Guerrero,
Yes.
Representative Demapan, Representative Flores,
Yes.
Representative Guerrero, Representative Lizama,
Yes.
Representative Probst, Representative Sablan Cristina.
Sorry, real quick, one more, and I do apologize, but could we consider this as a technical amendment to insert the word authority after expenditure on page 2, line 1? That the expenditure authority of the funds shall be the chairperson?
Short recess, please. We're ready.
I realize that it's
Okay, we're back in session, and Clerk, you may continue the roll call.
Representative Sablan Cristina,
yes.
Representative Sablan John Paul,
Hungan.
Representative Staffler,
Yes.
Representative Villa Gomez,
Our.
Representative Yanktamai,
Awa.
Representative Yumo, Mr. Chairman,
Hungan.
Mr. Chairman, all 20 members voted yes.
Okay, thank you, Clerk. And with all 20 members voting yes, House Local Bill 22-10 hereby passes the delegation with any needed technical amendments. Floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I now offer a motion to pass House Local Bill 22-12 to appropriate $560,000 from revenues collected for the 3rd Senatorial District pursuant to Public Law 20-59 and for other purposes. So move.
There's been a motion, has been seconded. Discussion on that motion? Let's recognize Representative Camacho first.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I know there's a floor amendment before us, but I'd just like to thank Representative BJ Atto, the author of this legislation, for providing the needed funding for the new fire station in the north side of Saipan. As you know, the north side is at a disadvantage. It's been several years. We have not had a fire station there for the residents around. So I'd like to thank Rep. Atto for providing this funding and ready to vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Camacho. And I'll recognize Representative Atto.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And offering a floor amendment, I believe it's been distributed to all the members already. Floor amendment to House Local Bill number 22-12 under Section 2B, $200,000 will reflect $150,000. Under Section 2C, it'll reflect $50,000 rather than $65,000. Yes. And then a new section L, M, and N, and L would be $10,000 for the Saipan Fishermen's Association, M, $20,000 for the Commonwealth Women's Association, and N, $35,000 for the Micronesian Legal Services for services and operation for the 3rd Senatorial District. Consistent with the intent of the foregoing amendments, I hereby also move to allow the legal counsel together with the clerk to make further non-substantial technical amendments that are strictly necessary to effectuate the intent of this floor amendment prior to transmittal. So move, Mr. Chairman.
There's been a motion for a floor amendment and has been seconded. Discussion on the floor amendment. Recognize Representative Cristina Sablan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to our Ways and Means Chairman, BJ Atto, and the members for offering these amendments. I do want to offer perhaps just some technical amendments to read into the record, just to make some corrections to the names of the organizations that are receiving these funds. So for item C, that should read for Saipan Cares for Animals.
Okay.
And then I understand that the mayor of Saipan is, for item E, is still planning to do some type of activities for Liberation Day, even though the main event is not happening. But if I may clarify, the operations part is for general operations, right? Not specifically for Liberation Day operations?
Yes, for the
Okay.
record, it'll be for general operations.
So may I suggest as a technical amendment that we move operations to the front of that? So it would read for the mayor of Saipan for operations and the Liberation Day festivities.
Sure.
There's no objection to that. This is on page 1 of the floor amendment,
It'll be
item E. So
section-
it would read Mayor of Saipan for operations and the Liberation Day festivities. And just switch it around, so. Operations.
And Liberation Day. And
The Liberation Day festivities. And then 20,000 for, I think for the, so this is for item H. And I was trying to clarify the official name for parole. I think it is just the Board of Parole. So we could make it the Office of the Board of Parole, but that's, I think that would be considered technical as well. And then to spell out the full name for NMPASI in item K, and then that's Northern Marianas Protection and Advocacy Systems, Inc. Saipan Fishermen's is spelled with an E in their name. And then Micronesian Legal Services Corporation in item N. And that's it for the technical amendments.
No
Thank
objection,
you.
Mr. Chairman.
Saipan Cares on item C. On right, and item E, we're changing the order so it'll read Mayor Saipan for operations and for the Liberation Day facilities. I'll put a period there and capitalize E, expenditure authority. Right? Okay. Okay, well, we can make it a period. All right, and then on item H, we're adding the board, so for the office of the Board of Parole. And then on item K, we're gonna spell out an impasse to reflect the acronym's full name. Yeah, and Fishermen's Association on item L. And then item N is corporation added after services. All right, thank you. Thank you for that clarification.
So move, right?
Short recess. Technical amendments, please say aye. All who oppose, say nay. Motion carries. Recognize the floor leader for the main motion.
Privilege, Mr. Chairman.
State your privilege.
Sorry, I didn't go into discussion during the amendment because it's part of the original version of the bill, but I just wanted to raise a clarification to the mover. The $50,000 for the mayor of Saipan operations, is that different from the $100,000 field operations that we passed in House Local Bill 22-7? Are these non-field operations, just for the record?
Yes, yes, absolutely correct.
Thank you, Representative Limapan. So now recognize the floor leader for the main motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I now offer a motion to pass House Local Bill 22-12, Draft 1. So move.
There's been a motion and has been seconded. Discussion on that motion, the main motion. Clerk, please call the roll.
Representative Fata,
Yes.
Representative Fata,
Yes.
Representative Babalta Selena,
Hungan.
Representative Babalta Sheila,
Yes.
Representative Blanco,
Yes.
Representative Camacho Joel,
Good.
Representative Camacho Vicente,
Yes.
Senator De Leon Guerrero,
Yes.
Representative De Mapan,
Good.
Representative Flores,
Yes.
Representative Guerrero, Representative Lizama,
Yes.
Representative Probst,
Yes.
Representative Sablan Christina,
Yes.
Representative Sablan John Paul,
Again.
Representative Staffler,
Yes.
Representative Villa Gomez, Representative Yang Tamay,
Aware.
Representative Yumu, Mr. Chairman.
Good.
Mr. Chairman, all 20 members voted yes.
Thank you, Clerk. And with all 20 members voting yes, House Local Bill 22-12 hereby passes the delegation in the form of Draft 1. Floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I now offer a motion to pass House Local Bill 22-3, Draft 1, to appropriate up to $618,138 of the earned bond interest income collected for the 3rd Senatorial District that has been identified by the Commonwealth Development Authority as available for appropriations and for other purposes. So move.
There's been a motion and has been seconded. Discussion on that motion. Recognize Senator De Leon Guerrero.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm just curious, if I may ask, what is the investment instrument that is generating this particular interest income? I'm just curious, where is it coming from? Whether is it a TCD investment instrument? Please, thank you.
This is coming from CDA. This is the bond that we took out back in 2002, I believe. This is the land compensation bond. The portion of it, 11 million, went to the corrections facility. So the investment in this, the interest is received by the 3rd Senatorial District I believe if you remember the budget, it has A and B on it. 2007 A and B. They consolidated the bond for the pension, the land compensation, and I forget the third one. But now it's now recognized as bond interest 2007 A and B in the Budget Act.
Senator Leon, you still have the floor.
Sure.
Okay, so I'm just, for all of the buyers of the bond, basically, the capital that was infused into, for funding for the necessary obligations of the government. So what we're saying here today is that there is a remainder of money after the obligations have been satisfied that are currently now being invested in a particular financial institution locally, and that's how we are generating this particular interest income for Saipan. Is that correct?
Yes, and also for Road and Tinian. If you look at the numbers for Road and Tinian, it's always the exact same amount. I think their appropriation total was about $202,000 for each of the first and second senatorial district. While a bigger amount was in the third senatorial district, to the extent of right now is what 695,177.85. This is as of the date that we had the committee meeting. The latest numbers, but this is an annual interest that's submitted to the third senatorial district for appropriation purposes, just like the first and second senatorial districts.
Right, and the reason why I'm very interested is because I have yet to see the historical information on the income generated from this particular instrument deposit from whichever local financial institution it's at. I'm just curious because if there's any other greater opportunity for the Commonwealth to invest this particular money in a much more greater yield of performing, interest money out there in the market that could possibly be explored by CDA. I've reviewed all the email communication. It doesn't, I do appreciate the conversation. However, I think there's a lot of, historical information that would be good for the committee to take a look at, and also to look at other investment instruments that could generate more money in the investment market if we know exactly what is the standing principal amount, because obviously these interest incomes are not being reinvested to grow the capital, the principal amount of that investment instrument right now in the financial institution, because we are taking the money out for whatever purpose we are funding for, which is fantastic. But what I'm saying is that if there's a greater yield out there in the open market, that we could look at this particular principal money, that we could talk to CDA and perhaps maybe invest that money for a greater return of money so that we could get more money to fund our projects and operations here in the Commonwealth. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you for that, Senator De Leon, and I'll meet with you after the session and talk more into detail with this. Thank you again, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Rep. Patel and Senator Leon Guerrero. Okay, so we're still under discussion. Representative Christina Sablan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I wanted to express my full support for the funding that's being allocated to Industrial Drive, and to thank our colleagues on Ways and Means and Representative Blanco, the author of the bill, for making Industrial Drive a priority in this appropriation. This is the road to our only commercial seaport on Saipan. That road has been atrocious for years. I do understand, though, that there have been previous appropriations, and I wanted to ask, the committee report notes that the original amount that had been appropriated was insufficient, and so the additional funds that CDA had identified were being allocated to Industrial Drive. But how much is needed in total to do the complete repairs that are needed for Industrial Drive, and how much has been appropriated so far? Are we just building up those funds so that we can get to a sufficient amount?
Yeah,
Recognize her, Patel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for that question, Rep. Tina Sablan. industrial draft, the total cost for industrial draft is approximately $6 million. This is one of the things that we brought up since the 21st legislature with DPW as to why industrial draft is not being included in the TTIP, which is the federal highway request to be included in funds for the future. And I believe our chairman of PUTC, Chairman Richard Lizama, had brought that same issue up with DPW. But the total cost of it is $6 million as of a year and a half ago. And this is inclusive of the water catchments, the paving of the road, and also the way station for the trucks that are be exiting the port. And I believe that the conversation also with Representative Richard Lizama is that they're going to try to open dialogue with the AFIX, the military, so that they can actually share in the cost of this road. It's just amazing that when that road is fixed, it belongs to CPA, and when it's damaged, it belongs to the government. So that's been our challenge over the years. The cost for the A&E design is approximately $870,000 for the A&E design itself. So that's why the appropriation by Rep. Blanco is to include the additional $535,000 to industrial drive, so we can at least get the A&E design rather than the continued cost of or 10% increases of the A&E design, so we can get that out of the way.
So this is sufficient for the A&E design?
Should be
to complete
sufficient,
that
hopefully.
With the previous, 'cause
With
there
the
have been
previous,
previous
yes, we did
appropriations.
about, I think it was almost $600,000 of the A&E design back then.
Huh. Okay. Yeah, and I would like to just encourage continued dialogue with CPA, because I also reached out to DPW some time ago recently about why federal highway funds weren't being allocated for industrial drive, and it does seem to be like a land issue, a land ownership issue. If DPW has jurisdiction over that property, like they would be able to use those funds for that purpose. So I think just getting everybody at the table can make a difference.
And also, just on that note, right, we did get everybody on the table, Mr. Chairman, with the ports, the businesses down at the ports, and also the other government entities that were using the ports. And the businesses at the ports were very receptive into investing into this road project. Unfortunately, COVID hit, and that kind of backed them out from this endeavor, just because of the recovery efforts that they were trying to do on their business side of it. But we will be getting them back on the table, and I believe our chairman of PUTC in the House side has made those efforts to try to get these guys on the same table, so we can address that specific issue. And hopefully in the next listings, I think it's in 2 years or 3 years from now, as the next listing for TTIP, they would include industrial drive in that. As you know, that's the first port of entry for all our goods, and it's our commerce really. And then on top of that, any docking ships or our visitors to the CNMI, it should be a nice place so that they can be welcome.
Yeah, agreed. Thank you for that update and that clarification. I yield, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Rep. Sablan and Rep. Atzo. I recognize Representative Selena Mbata.
I just have one question. Does the $800,000+ for the A&E design include the artery roads leading away from Industrial Drive?
Yes, that's why the total cost of the project was at $6 million. It's also going to include the lateral roads that are fronting Middle Road, and the shell at the end, the traffic light, and I believe all the way down to Smiling Cove is the idea. Was the idea then? If the military would be willing to assist in paying for the roads, they can take care of the Smiling Cove or the triangle towards Anus Park into the industrial area.
There's a lateral road in between the Shell traffic light and the other traffic light in front of the AFIS shop at. Will those be included?
Yes, those are included in the $6 million project design. I think there used to be 3, but when they leased that property, I don't know if it was Black Micro that leased the property, actually closed one of the lateral roads in the area. But the main bottleneck there is the one by the CUC power plant. There's a lot of big trucks that actually do enter or exit from there, and it's really dangerous in that area in certain times of the day.
Thank you, Ayun.
Thank you, Representative Mabota, and recognized for anyone else for the first round before I recognize Senator De Leon. Okay, recognize Senator De Leon. First round.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I really appreciate Representative Atto for, providing a much more greater detail regarding the industrial drive. What strikes me is what you had mentioned earlier, that when things are going well, it's the other autonomous agencies' responsibility, but when things are going wrong, basically, it becomes a state responsibility. So something brings me to mind, because a lot of the autonomous agencies, their budgets is simply for their purpose, and submission to the legislature is for informational purposes. I would highly encourage whoever is responsible, which committee is addressing these issues, that a lot of the there's a lot of audit reports out there, and if we look at the financial standing of some autonomous entities, they're in good positive standing. So what I'm pointing to is leveraging of financial resources, so that the state government, if we could take some of the money and utilize it in other greater areas of need. But it's not to say that we cannot participate or partner up and collaborate with the other autonomous agencies. Because again, if you look at their financial standing, there's a lot of money sitting there in the audit reports. And I think this issue of when things are going well, but when things are not going well, it becomes a concern now of the central government, and money can become very tight. And this is why when we sit here and try to appropriate funding for specific projects, we really need to start embracing all the other financial information out there that deals with also the autonomous entities, and not just particularly focusing on the pot of money that is coming from the central government, because it's important. We can never address our financial issues if we continue this kind of process of I won't say the word ignoring, but not taking into account all the other financial resources, so that we could leverage partnership and collaboration with all the other autonomous entities, so that we could once and for all address all the project issues that is facing our Commonwealth. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator De Leon Guerrero.
Mr. Chairman, may I just, in defense, I guess, of CPA, the reason why they brought that up, because the original land lease agreement with the federal government back in 1960 plus or 70 plus, that Tanapak Harbor was a portion of its lease and American Memorial Park by the federal government, and that road actually from Smiling Cove down towards the seaport was inclusive of that land lease. Not to probably as recent as maybe 25, 30 years ago that specific road was given back to the central government or to the CNMI for usage, knowing the fact that that was the port of entry for our commodities into the CNMI. So just in their defense. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Rep. Atto. Floor Leader Mabota.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to the author and Chairman Atto for delivering this committee report to this body. And in addition to the various road improvements on Industrial Drive, which is something I completely support as well, there's also funding to be appropriated for waterline projects, which is great, on Calamendo and Dotsi Place. Can you just maybe expand on where these areas are located and what villages will benefit from this waterline improvement project?
Okay, may I, Mr. Chairman?
Recognize.
So B, to complete the Calamendo waterline project, this is the one in Cagman. This is one of the areas that had been requested by CUC over the last couple of years for the water distribution for these specific areas in Cagman. On Dotse Place, this is the one down on Beach Road next to Moylan's Insurance. It's the area between Moylan's Insurance and I believe either the old China House or the old Wendy's. When there was additional residents that built in the area, the water pressure wasn't able to supply consistently to all the households in the area. So that's what's needed for that amount, and that came from CUC. And then the improvements on Navy Hill Drive, this is the the areas right above the Rhodotinian guest house. So the water line in Navy Hill is on the right side, heading up. The CUC had found a lot of illegal tapping over the last 5 years when they're doing water tapping issues and leaks in the scene, especially in the island of Saipan. They found a lot of illegal tappings in that area, so they closed a lot of the water distribution on the left side. So this would allow the connections from the main water line on the right side of Navy Hill Drive to the residents on the left side that have built. At this present time, those residents do not have CUC water, so they're purchasing their water. And CUC had requested if we can give them additional funds for that specific area so that they can get these people connected and in line, so they'll be paying customers to CUC. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Chairman Atto. Thank you for sharing that information, and I'm ready to vote.
Okay. After a lengthy discussion, clerk, please call the roll.
Representative Fanta,
Yes.
Representative Fatam,
Yes.
Representative Babata Selena,
Hungan.
Representative Babata Sheila,
Yes.
Representative Blanco,
Yes.
Representative Camacho Joel,
Hungan.
Representative Camacho Vicente,
Yes.
Senator De Leon Guerrero, Representative Demapan,
Good.
Representative Flores,
Yes.
Representative Guerrero, Representative Lizama,
Yes.
Representative Probst, Representative Sablan Christina,
Yes.
Representative Sablan Jampo,
Hungan.
Representative Staffler,
Yes.
Representative Villa Gomez,
I would.
Representative Yanktamai,
What?
Representative Yumo, Representative Babata Selena.
Hungan.
Mr. Chairman,
Again,
Mr. Chairman, all 20 members voted yes.
thank you, clerk. And with all 20 members voting yes, House Local Bill 22-3 hereby passes the delegation. And recognize the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members. For the last bill on our calendar, I now would like to offer a motion to pass House Local Bill 22-8 to impose a local license fee on all non-poker electric gaming devices within the 3rd Senatorial District and for other purposes. So move.
There's been a motion and has been seconded. Discussion on that motion? Ready? Recognize Rep. Christina Sablan.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do support the overall intent and the goals of this bill, but I do think that we may need to provide some further clarification as to the intention and who this new gaming fees really would actually apply to. And so I wanted to ask the author of the bill for his indulgence and provide that additional background for the record, and then also ask for some time to provide further clarification in this bill, which I think may require some research with our council to make sure that we have definitions tightened up a bit in the bill before we pass it. And again, I do support it, but I would like to see additional clarification in the language.
Rep. Yumo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Rep. Sablan. So the total intent of the bill is similar to House Local Bill 11-2, which the House back then created a local delegation fee imposed to pachinko and poker machines. So what 22-8 does is it kind of mirrors it. I know there's some language that needs to be put in for clarification as what mentioned the definitions of what e-gaming is and what would be affected by companies that are not, I guess, well, by companies that are currently doing business under the e-gaming law. So history-wise, the poker machines has decreased, and since the inception in 2015, the e-gaming went from 228 licensed machine up to present as of December, I believe, of 359. So currently, the law under 18-30, we impose $2,500 dollars per machine, or a 15% net gaming proceeds, or whichever is greater, based on the numbers that was given to us by Revenue and Tax. The average machine now cost 3,161 based on the amount paid versus the numbers of machine. So what I'm trying to impose right now is to have a similar fees because of the poker licenses that dropped, and that's to help Shefa with scholarship and operation, and also as the same of what Rep Vice Speaker did with his other bill. The other agencies or not needs funding. All the other programs that are here, people are requesting money. This would also be open to funding organizations outside of well, that what we pretty much amend today. So I am open to fixing the language, but my intent of the bill is just to impose a additional fee under the third senatorial district. We can amend that portion if it's not clear, because there is a percentage here. We can set a fee. I'm open to that by setting a fee to 3,000, and that's up to the body to decide on that. It is a policy call. I'll wait for Rep Sablan's amendment. I think it's forthcoming, so I'll yield back to Rep Sablan.
Thank you, Rep. Yumo.
Thank
Representative
you,
Sablan.
Rep. Yumo, for that background. So just to clarify, the average fee per machine that's being paid now for electronic gaming is 3,100, according to Rev and Tax. Okay, and so the proposal is to just mirror whatever fee they pay at the Commonwealth level. That's what they'll pay per machine at the local level. Okay, understood. Yeah, if we, what I would propose is that we keep this on calendar, lay it on the table, and then we can work with council. I know there are other members of the gaming committee, including our chairman, who may want to weigh in on how we can. I have some thoughts about how we can clarify that, because I think that the term non-poker gaming could be misconstrued and it could be confusing. So we could look at the definitions for e-gaming that are already in the law, and then look at the mechanics of how this fee would be applied. But if we could keep this on calendar and maybe recess and come back. Or refer it to committee, but I would suggest we keep it on calendar and we can work on the floor amendment.
Let's take a short recess, please.
Okay.
Chair, under
Back in session, and before the recess, we were under discussion on the bill calendar in reference to House Local Bill 22-3 or -8. And now I recognize the legal counsel for the articulation of the amendments.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We changed the House Local Bill 22-8 to a substitute S1. We changed the title, so it now reads to impose a local license fee on all electronic gaming devices as defined in Title 6, Section 3154A4, inclusive of poker amusement machines on the same e-gaming premises as defined in Title 6, 3156B, located within the 3rd Senatorial District and for other purposes. So we didn't change anything substantive to the findings, with the exception of taking out the term non-poker. And in place of non-poker, we inserted electronic. So the substance of the findings are the same. May I direct your attention to the screens, line 12. Therefore, the intent of this act is to impose a local license fee on all electronic gaming devices within the 3rd Senatorial District, including poker amusement machines, as defined in Title 6, 3154A3, that are located within e-gaming facilities or hotels. Section 3 is the enactment, and the operative language starts on page 3. But I'll read the whole thing. Section 101, local license fees for electronic gaming devices. Local license fees for electronic gaming devices. There is hereby imposed. Let's see if I can make it a little bit bigger. Pursuant to 1 CMC Section 1402 C4, a local license fee on all electronic gaming machines or electronic table games as defined in Title 6, Section 3154A4, and on poker amusement machines located on the same e-gaming premises, specifically an enclosed area of resort or resort premises as set forth in Title 6, Section 3156B, within the 3rd Senatorial District, equal to the amount required by Commonwealth law. The rest is exactly the same. We didn't change anything in Section B, the recipient of the funds, nor did we change anything in Section C, which reflects the except for the electronic gaming being changed from non-poker to electronic gaming. Everything else is the same substantively. That's the substantive amendment, Chairman. Thank you.
Rep. Yumo, do you have the substitute copy? Not yet. John, can we get that printed for Rep. Yumo?
If I may, Representative Sablan made a good suggestion that we just take out this language as defined in Title 6, 3154. It's just it's a very interesting worded statute that basically says gambling devices include everything under the sun with the exception of poker amusement machines. That's what A3 means. It excludes poker amusement machines. So I think it's a good recommended change. And yeah. Ready, Chairman?
So move as read by our legal counsel.
Okay, so there's a motion. Rep. Yumo has moved the substitute in the 22-8 in the form of S1 has been seconded. Discussion, further discussion? Okay. Yeah. So all in favor of the substitute motion by Rep. Yumo, say aye. Aye. All who oppose, say nay. Motion carries. And now recognize the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At this time, I'd like to offer a motion that we pass House Local Bill 22-8, Substitute 1. So move.
Okay, there's been a motion to pass House Local Bill 22-8, Substitute 1, has been seconded. Discussion? Ready? Clerk, please call the roll.
Representative Fata,
Yes.
Representative Facto,
Yes.
Representative Babauta Selena,
Good.
Representative Babauta Sheila,
Yes.
Representative Blanco,
Yes.
Representative Camacho Joel,
Gan.
Representative Camacho Vicente,
Yes.
Senator De Leon Guerrero, Representative Demapan,
Gan.
Representative Flores,
Yes.
Representative Guerrero, Representative Lizama,
Yes.
Representative Probst, Representative Sablan Christina,
Yes.
Representative Sablan Jampo,
Good.
Representative Staffler,
Yes.
Representative Villa Gomez,
Yes.
Representative Yanktamai,
Aware.
Representative Humo.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman,
Hogan.
Mr. Chairman, all 20 members voted yes.
Thank you, Clerk. With all 20 members voting yes, House Local Bill 22-8 passes the delegation in the form of Substitute 1. We move on. Miscellaneous business. Recognize Rep. Yumo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just want to thank everyone who supported 22-8. Special thank you to Rep. Sablan for working on this bill tirelessly through lunch. Thank you to council for helping out. Thank you.
Thank you, Rep. Yumo. Rep. Ato.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just want to thank the officers for allowing our bills to be placed on today's calendar for action today, and thank the members for the support on all the appropriations that we had passed today. It's been a while since NIOD had made any appropriations since COVID hit, and we finally are able to get some monies into other programs outside of regular government function. So with that, members, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rep. Ato. Vice Chairman Blanco.
Thank you very much, Chairman. I'd like to go off of the Chairman of Ways and Means. I want to thank you, Chairman Atao, and members of your Ways and Means Committee for all the hard work that you did on all the appropriations bills. Thank you.
Okay. Let's move on to, okay, no, we're still on miscellaneous business. Congressman Adel.
Thank you, Chair, and I'd like to thank everybody here and the members, SNIO, for passing House Bill 22, House Local Bill 22-9. Look forward to the people in Kobler in Precinct 1 would really appreciate this, all the efforts that we're making today. Thank you.
Thank you, Rep. Ada. Anyone else? Ready? Let's move down to announcement. Any announcements under item S? Ready? And we're moving on to item T, adjournment. And now for the proper motion, I recognize the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At this time, I move to adjourn.
There's been a motion to adjourn and seconded. Discussion of the motion. All in favor to adjourn today's session, say aye. All who oppose, say nay. Motion carries. This session is hereby adjourned.